We'll now discuss what the distance in midpoint between 2 points is and how to find it. And we'll start by discussing our coordinate system. This is essentially what our coordinate system looks like. These lines here are called your axes. The horizontal is called your x-axis, and the vertical is called the y-axis. In addition, this intersection point is called the origin. And we can also divide this up, and we can see that there are actually 4 regions here. The different regions are known as quadrants. The quad because there are 4. We start with our first, second, third, and fourth quadrant, and we tend to use Roman numerals for these. The coordinate system is used to graph things. So if I wanted to graph a point like 1, 2, this tells me how far to go in the x direction and the second one in the y. And remember, the x is horizontal, the y is vertical. So I move right 1 and up 2 to get this point here. If I tried to do something like -3, -1, well, the negative means I move left 3 and then down 1 to get -3, -1. If I go back to thinking about my quadrants, we can actually tell what quadrant a point is in pretty easily. Here, I would need to move right on my x-axis, so it should be positive, and up in my y direction, so it should be negative, or it should also be positive. For my second one, I can see that I'm moving to the left, so x should be negative, and then we have to move up, so y is positive. The third one, I would need to move left, so a -x, and down, so a -y. For the last one, I would be moving right, so I have a positive x, but then down, so a -y. Therefore, I can just look at a point and tell you what quadrant it is in. If we have 2 points plotted and we want to find the distance between them, then the distance between a point x1, y1 and x2, y2, we're going to denote by d, is the square root of x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. As an example, if I want to find the distance between these 2 points, I have the square root of, I subtract the x coordinates, so 3 minus 1, square them, plus subtracting the y coordinates, 5 minus 6, and then squared. 3 minus 1 is 2, 5 minus 6 is -1. 2 squared is 4, and -1 squared is 1, so the distance between these 2 points is the square root of 5. As another example, if I want to find the distance between these two, well, I now have the square root of -2 plus 5 squared plus 8 plus -1 squared. -2 plus 5 is 3, and 8 plus -1 is 7. We know that 3 squared is 9, and 7 squared is 49. So this gives us a total of 58. And the square root of 58 cannot be simplified, since the only way to break it up would be 2 times 29, and we cannot take the square root of either of those numbers. The next thing I want to consider is midpoint. If I take 2 points and draw the line segment between them, what point is in the middle? And this is given by x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus y2 over 2. So we'll take our x coordinates, add them and divide by 2, and then do the same with the y coordinates. Let's consider these two. I would then need to add 4 plus negative 2, and then divide by 2. For the y coordinates, 3 plus 9 divided by 2. 4 plus negative 2 is 2, divided by 2 is 1. And 3 plus 9 is 12, divided by 2 is 6. So my answer is the point 1, 6. One more example. To find the midpoint here, I would do 3 plus negative 4 over 2. And then for my second point, 2 plus 7 over 2. This would be a negative 1/2. And then on the right, 9 over 2. So these do not have to be whole numbers. We can have fractions instead.